For 3 years, I told everyone my father was a deadbeat who never showed up. I found out the truth standing in a hospital hallway, holding a shoebox a nurse said he'd asked her to give me if he didn't wake up. When my parents divorced, I was 11, and I chose to live with my mom. The court let me decide, and I picked the parent who didn't make me feel like a project. My dad got the small place by the rail yard. He texted every morning the same thing. "Morning, kiddo. Have a good one." I rolled my eyes at every single one. I used to leave them on red for hours just to feel like I had some kind of power. He came to everything. The middle school robotics meet where my robot drove straight off the table. The band recital where I played 4 wrong notes in a row. Back to school nights where I'd watch him stand alone by the lockers too early, holding a folder of my old report cards he'd kept for some reason. I was embarrassed by him and couldn't have told you why if you'd paid me. Then Mom started seeing Russ when I was 14, and the ground shifted under everything so quietly I didn't notice it happen. Russ had a motorcycle. Russ had a laugh that filled rooms. Russ called me boss man and tipped me $20 to wash his bike. Next to him, my dad looked smaller, quieter, like an old photo somebody left in the sun. I started measuring one against the other and made sure my dad always came up short. I told my friends he was kind of pathetic, honestly. I borrowed Mom's tone about him until I couldn't tell where her voice ended and mine started. The fall I turned 16, Dad asked if I wanted to drive up to the cabin we used to rent when I was little, the one with the dock that smelled like pine and gasoline. I told him I had plans. Russ took me to a football game that same weekend, and I posted the whole thing. A month before my birthday, Dad mailed a card. Inside was $40 and a note in his blocky handwriting. He wrote that he could feel me pulling away and didn't fully understand it, but that whatever he'd done, he was sorry. He said he'd back off if that's what I wanted, but the door was open, always, no expiration. I showed it to my mom. She gave a little laugh through her nose and said he'd always been good at playing the wounded one. I shoved the card in a drawer and didn't answer it. Then, the week before Thanksgiving, my aunt called. Dad had collapsed at work. Heart. They didn't know yet if he'd make it. I drove there with my hands shaking on the wheel. At the hospital, a nurse stopped me in the hallway and handed me a worn shoebox. She said he'd given it to the front desk when he was admitted, in case. In case. I sat on the cold floor and opened it. It was all me. Every report card. A ticket stub from a movie I didn't even remember us seeing. A photo of him at my robotics meet. He'd asked a stranger to take it, beaming next to my broken robot like it had won something. Receipts. He'd been quietly paying part of my school fees for years. The ones Mom said somehow got covered. A folded court document I made myself read twice. He hadn't walked away from us. He'd fought to keep me and lost, and never once told me, because he didn't want me to have to choose between 2 people I loved. At the bottom was a card he'd never mailed. It said he was proud of who I was becoming, even the parts that pushed him away, because that meant I felt safe enough to. He woke up 2 days later. I was the first thing he saw. I didn't have words ready, so I just held his hand, and 3 years of distance I'd built brick by brick came down in about 4 seconds. In the car afterward, I asked my mom what actually happened with the divorce. Not her version, the truth. She was quiet a long time. Then she said it was complicated, and for the first time, that sounded like an answer instead of a wall. I text him every morning now. I always answer back.